Good evening, madam. We are from Group 6 and we will be presenting our assignment 1. So I will introduce our group member. Our group member consists of Kishan, Cheng, Suning, Davida, Mi Weishen, and Qijie. So I will be present about the part A of our assignment 1. The first question of the part A of the assignment 1 is the possible to bind SOAP and web service description language WSDL. Explain your answer in details. So it is possible to bind the SOAP and WSDL because SOAP is used to exchange the structure data between the connect application over the network. Uh, while the WSDL define where the service is available and provide the information about the service protocol to SOAP. So the WSDL file is required to specify the SOAP message that are used to exchange the data between the client and the service, and specifying the message element in the WSDL file, which is also describe the structure of the SOAP message. WSDL file also lists out the operations that the service provide along with the input and the output of the message for each operation. So for the question 2 is about the general structure of the SOAP XML request is typical in figure 1 using the input body structure shown in figure 2 and create a proper structure file for the SOAP XML response. So I create a SOAP XML response and the SOAP envelope is a root element with the root element of the SOAP message, and it also specified the XML namespace, which is the HTTP schema XML SOAP.org, and, and the also include the SOAP body and also include the NS to get cost detail response and the namespace. After that is the NS2 comma and the ID. This is represent the identifier of the cost, and in this case the cost identifier is the cost one. So same with the NS2 common name and the description. The cost name is the web technology security and encryption, and also I also include the cost stat at the back of it. So with the others like get cost detail response body and error also has the cost tag with it. And that's all from my part. I will pass it to my uh, next team member. Thank you.
Good morning to Puan Rosma, our lecturer in Web Service Technology. My name is Kujijet, and now I'm going to present about Part A, Question 3. Based on your understanding from the SOAP response file in Figure 3, suggest 3 matching information that should exist in the Web Service Description Language WSDL file. So firstly, the WSDL file should define the XML namespace used in the SOAP response message. Namespaces help avoid naming conflicts and ensure proper identification of elements. So in Figure 3, the namespace www.thebank.org is used for the elements within the namespace B semicolon loan response element. The WSDL file should include a declaration of this namespace to align with the SOAP response. For the second matching information that should exist in the web service description language file is operational name. The WSDL file should specify the operation or method name associated with the loan response. This helps identify the specific action or functionality provided by the web service. Unfortunately, without the complete WSDL file, we cannot determine the exact operational name in this case. However, in the ideal scenario, the WSDL file would clearly define the operation name related to the loan response. And thirdly, the WSDL file should also include a definition for the output message structure. So in this case, the output message structure should define the elements B semicolon integer rate and also monthly value, which are present in the SOAP response. The WSDL file should provide information about the data types structure of these elements within the namespace B semicolon loan response element. So for question 4, what is your understanding of the SOAP fault message? Explain by way of example. A SOAP fault message is a specified type of response message that is sent by web service when an error or exceptional condition occurs during the processing of a SOAP request. It is used to inform the client about the failure and provide details regarding the error. SOAP fault messages follow a standardized structure defined by the SOAP protocol, making it easier for clients to parse and handle the error information. And for question 5, describe the role of UDDI in web service in detail. UDDI, also known as Universal Description, Discovery and Integration, serves as a directory service that allows web service providers to register their services and enables service consumers to discover and integrate those services. It provides a standardized platform for service registration, discovery, and metadata management, facilitating interoperability and promoting service reuse. UDDI categorizes services, assists in service binding, and supports governance and security aspects. Overall, UDDI plays a crucial role in simplifying the process of finding and integrating web services across different platforms and organizations. And that's all from part A, and now I'm going to pass my presentation to the part B presenters. Thank you.
So the provided code is an example of a web service project that exposes an employee detail service. It defines a class named employees details that contains a nested class called employee, representing an employee's details. So here's the explanation for the code below. Firstly, packet declaration. The code is declared in the package org.assignment1. So the imports that were used in this code is javax.jws.webservice, which is imported to use annotations for defining web services. javax.jws.webmethod, which is imported to use annotation for defining web methods. javax.jws.webparam is imported to use the annotations for specifying web method parameters. jeb.util.arraylist is imported to use the arraylist class, and java.util.list is imported to use the list interface. Next is the web service annotation. The add web service annotation is used to declare the employee details as a web service. It also specifies the service name as employee details. So in this part of the code, the employee class is declared as a nested class within the employee details class. It represents the details of an employee. The employee class has the following fields: employee's ID, which is represented as an integer variable; employee's name, a string variable; employee's age, integer variable; and lastly, employee salary, which is a double variable. The employee class also has a constructor to initialize all the above fields and 4 getter methods to retrieve all the values of the respective fields. In this part of the code, the first 2 parts are the getter methods to retrieve the values of the respective fields. Next is the getEmployees method. The getEmployees method is declared within the employee details class. It returns a list of employee objects. Inside the method, an empty array list of employee objects named employees is created. Finally, the method returns the employees list. So, overall, this code provides the basic structure of a web service that exposes an employee detail service. The employee detail service has a method called getEmployees that returns a list of employee objects. However, as the code stands, the employees list is empty and there is no logic to populate it with actual employee data. This is just a skeleton implementation that, that we can build upon by adding our own logic to fetch and populate the employee data. Thank you.
Good morning, Dr. Rosma. My name is Cheng. My metric number is AI210425. I'm from Group 6, Section 5 in this assignment 1. I am doing the Part B, Question 2A. My question is, assuming that one of the requesters is Johor Corporate System, write down a possible SOAP response to this system. Firstly, the SOAP response starts with the envelope element, which is the root element of the SOAP message. It defines two XML namespaces, SOAP-ENV for the SOAP envelope and the MAL for the Ministry of Health Malaysia. These namespaces are used to quantify the element within the SOAP message. Inside the envelope, we have an empty header element, which indicating that no specific header information is included in this response. The main content of SOAP response resides within the body element. It contains the check vaccination status response element, which is specific to Malaysia Vaccination Program web service. These elements host the information about the vaccination status and appointment details for the requested person. Within a check vaccination status response, we have two elements. First is status element. This element indicates the vaccination status for the person. In this case, the status is set to completed, suggesting that person's vaccination process has been successfully finished. For the appointment element, this element provides the appointment details for the vaccinated person. It contains two sub-elements, which are venue element and date element. For venue element, this element specifies the venue where the vaccination appointment took place or will take place. In this response, the venue is set to ABC Vaccination Center. For the date element, this element specifies the date of vaccination appointment. The provided date is 2023 May 15. That's all from me. Thank you.
Good day to Dr. ROSMAMALMI, the lecturer for Web Service Technology, BIW 20404. My name is Ning from the Web Service Assignment 1, Group 6 member, and I will be presenting for the question 2 for Part B of the assignment. So in Part B, the question will be demonstrate the possible WSDL document to describe that service. You are only required to write down the elements that comes with the text, message, and port type. So in this question, we are supposed to write a WSDL document, and we are only needed to write the WSDL document with message and port type text. So in the first part here, we have the message name, check vaccination status request. Another one will be check vaccination status response. So in the first part, we have message name, check vaccination status request. Then the part name will be the requested data. For example, in the question, needed data, it should be IC number and also mobile number, which is put type string respectively. And then the next part of the message will be check vaccination status response. There is three part names, which is status and venue using the type string, and lastly is date, which is the type date. And then last but not least is the port type, where the first part is the port type name, vaccination status port type. And in the port type tag, we have three types of text, which is first of all is the operation name, which is check vaccination status. The input message, which is from the first message name, check vaccination status request, and the second one is output message, check vaccination status response. And then we will have closing text for operation and also prototype. That is all for my question. Thank you.
Firstly, the import statements bring the necessary class from JavaX JWS package for creating the web service. Second, a public class called vaccination status service is declared with annotated with web service, followed by a web method which contains the public string called check vaccination status. The string contains two parameters, which is identification number and mobile number, which is annotated with the web param. It follows by the validation of the input parameter. These lines says that if the are there to ensure that the parameters are not null, so that if the identification number or the mobile number is invalid, an appropriate message would be returned. Now we call the Ministry of Health Malaysia API to retrieve the vaccination information. These lines create an instance of the Ministry of Health API class and calls it to get vaccination info method, passing the identification number and the mobile number as the arguments. This is done to retrieve the vaccination information from the external API. Next, we would check if the vaccination information is available. This line checks if the retrieved vaccination info is null. If it is null, that means there is no vaccination information was found in the provided details, and an appropriate message is returned. And then it is followed by building the response. The lines create a string builder object to construct the response. The vaccination get info dot get status method is called to retrieve the vaccination status, which is then appended to the response. If the appointment information is available, these lines check if the vaccination info object has appointment information. Object has the appointment information available. If the appointment venue and date are not null, they are appended to a new response. And the line returns the constructed response as a string. Overall, this code represents this web service called vaccination status service.